This land is your land.
When you think of America, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
This land is my land.
Do you think of the land? Do you think of the
From
people?
California,
Do you think of this country's history?
well, to the New
Or
York
what's happening now?
land.
Do you ever stop to think if we've lost something over the years?
The more time people are spending online, the more depressed and dysregulated they're becoming.
Or has it been with us the whole time?
We're finding somewhat a niche that people are yearning for, I would say, to come back to.
We're taking a trip through the history of progress and first principles to the soundtrack of the American journey. With all the opportunities to connect to the modern world, we're seeing a generation disconnect from the real world.
Do you think this type of addiction to technology is unique?
The biggest thing that I think is different is just how normalized it is. People don't recognize that the behavior they're doing is bad for them because everybody does it this way.
A passing generation hurries to give timeless wisdom to the new.
They ride whenever we ride. We're hoping that these kids will take our job.
Join me, Gabe McCauley, as we explore the values of yesterday and the promise of tomorrow, connecting history to our story. This is Reconnecting Roots.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Beautiful for spacious skies, amber waves of grain, purple mountains, majesties on the fruited plains. We're home. Beautiful beyond the dream, music heart at sea, alabaster cities gleam, made for you and me. We're home. We're home. We're home. We're home. Beautiful for settlers' feet, never may they rest. The thoroughfare of freedom beat across the wilderness. We're home, we're home, we're home. Beautiful the ones who stood liberating light, crown the good with brotherhood and sisterhood tonight. We're home, we're home, we're home, we're home, home. There's no place like 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 we're home.
Welcome, everyone, to Reconnecting Roots Live here at Music Ranch, Montana. And welcome to all of you who are live streaming, brought to you by our partner, Country Road TV. My name's Gabe McCauley. I'll be your host up here tonight. So please give a huge round of applause for Mandy McCauley and firekid. That's pretty good. Let's keep that up all night, all right? They just performed the theme song for our TV series, Reconnecting Roots. So for those of you who are wondering, what is Reconnecting Roots all about? Well, we're exploring the values of yesterday while looking toward to the promise of tomorrow. We focus on the history of America and its culture over the last 160 years to bring past and current generations together to help us understand who we are, where we've been, and where we're headed. We have a lot of problems in this world, but we also have found a lot of amazing solutions. We have a robust society, branching out in all directions, fueled by technology. But in the postmodern era, it's too easy to lose touch with our roots and forget why our ancestors did things a certain way. And our show, through conversations, experiences, iconic facts, iconic songs, and live performances, is aimed to help everyone reconnect to our shared heritage. The first episode of our show is premiering this week on PBS stations all across the U.S. We're super excited about that, thanks to our presenting stations, South Carolina, ETV, and American Public Television. Visit reconnectingroots.tv to discover all of the listings for your local public television station and find out when it's playing near you. But Reconnecting Roots isn't just about the TV show. It's about starting conversations like the ones we'll have today. And if you'd like to dive even deeper, you can check out our blog or our podcast, which are also available on our site, reconnectingroots.tv. But perhaps one of the most fun and entertaining ways to have a conversation is through music. So without further ado, let's welcome once again Mandy McCauley and Firekid.
That those who go there don't return. But I've come back a time or two, 'cause I don't have a thing to lose. Mama, take me back again, up to Magic Mountain. Mama, take me back again, up to Magic Mountain. There's a roundabout just beyond the clouds. We're rolling now, we won't come back down. We'll be screaming loud, you won't hear a sound. We'll be climbing higher now, we won't come back down. Whoa, down. Ooh. Tourists on their camera phones, wandering around like ghosts. But we're too busy cutting lines to see what's on the other side. Mama, take me back again, up to Magic Mountain. Mama, take me back again, up to Magic Mountain. There's a roundabout just beyond the clouds. We're rolling now, we won't come back down. We'll be screaming loud, you won't hear a sound. We'll be climbing higher now, we won't come back down. Ooh, down. Ooh, found a place to lay my head, never let her go. Everything I dreamed of, beautiful shady grove. Peaches in the summertime, apples in the fall. If I can't have the girl I love, I don't want none at all. Shady Grove, my love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my love, bound to go away. Looking back, I gave everything, the girl that I called home. I never bet against my house, pile off Shady Grove. Peaches in the summertime, apples in the fall. If I can't have a girl I love, I don't want none at all. There's a roundabout just beyond the clouds. We're rolling out, we won't come back down. We'll be screaming loud, you won't hear a sound. We'll be climbing high now. Everybody sing ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody sing ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody sing ooh. Everybody sing ooh. We won't come back down. Ooh.
Thank you guys so much. We're Firekid and Mandy McCauley. The next song that we're going to do for you is, since we're in Montana, we wanted to make sure we did a Western or cowboy song. So we're going to play one for you right now. The sun settles in the west, the cattle go down to the stream, the redwing settles in her nest. It's time for a cowboy to dream. Purple lights in the canyon, that's where I long to be, with my three good companions, my rifle, pony, and me. Gonna hang my sombrero along the limb of a tree, coming home, sweetheart, darling, just my rifle, pony, and me. Oh, whippoorwill in the willow will sing the sweet melody around the bend. He'll be waiting for my rifle, pony, and me. For my rifle, my pony, and me.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Cowboy stuff. Yeah, we wrote this next song, all three of us together. This is more than a man and a woman. sheets. You and me gotta be more than a romance, more than a man and a woman. More than a ring, more than a dress, more than the vows or the cake or the kiss. You and me gotta be more than this moment, more than a man and a woman. Let's leave a mark.
Let's light the dark. Let's set something bigger in motion.
Let love start with us.
It'll reach what we could never touch. Our love is alive and it's growing.
This love is more than a man and a woman.
More than a name, more than a crib, more than a nights waking up, taking shifts. You and me, we're gonna be two hearts plus one, more than a man and a woman.
Let's leave a mark.
Oh, let's light the dark. Let's set something bigger in motion.
Oh, let love start with us.
It'll reach what we could never touch.
Our love is alive and it's growing. This love is more than a man and a woman. More than a man and a woman.
Thank you guys so much. Mute me, please.
Wow. Good job, guys. I'm married to one of these three. I'll let you pick. Give it up again for Mandy McCauley and Firekid. On our television series, Reconnecting Roots, we love to find stories that change the way you think about a lot of the ordinary, everyday things we experience here in America. For instance, the smooth roads we drive our cars on weren't paved for our automobiles. Paved roadways resulted from a powerful group of lobbyists in the late 1800s, known as bicyclists, who went to state governments and the U.S. Congress demanding smooth roadways. So the next time you see one of those guys pedaling away on the edge of the highway and you see one of those share the road signs, you might wonder who is sharing with whom. And so we're learning a lot while we find and share stories about America that maybe, just maybe, they didn't cover in history class. The things that we're learning while we research these stories has been truly educational for us. And it makes us wonder, how did I not know this? Maybe our education system just can't cover everything the way we'd like. Or maybe, just maybe, it's because I fell asleep in history class. But our next guest is a very concerned parent who did not homeschool his kids, but took it to the next level and built a school in his own backyard. Let's take a look at this. Why does anybody today build
A one-room schoolhouse.
Well, I have a little girl who has to go to school somewhere, but I found myself thinking, what if she could go to school at home? And what if we could do it in a unique way that not only would provide a special education for her, but also some other little kids?
What is it that makes you excited about the one-room schoolhouse model?
The compulsory education system says it has to be done this way. But with us, we can question everything. Why does it have to be done that way? These schoolhouses were really built to serve the community. And that's kind of what the hope is here. It's for my little one, but also other little ones in the community here. Not so much for far away as it is for the needs right here. Instead of just the reading, writing, and arithmetic, it's also going to be all things rural. They're going to have their own garden here, so I think they're going to raise their own food. Awesome. There's a kitchen in there. I think they're going to cook their own food. I'm so proud of it. It's really, really beautiful. I'd like to think that these are going to pop up all around the country again. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Everyone, please welcome to the stage musician, author, filmmaker, and most importantly, my friend, Rory Feek.
Hello, Gabriel.
We get to do this at home every once in a while, but it's more fun in Montana, I think.
Yeah, it is more fun. We do this on our porch from time to time, but we don't hold microphones. We just talk.
Usually not, yeah. So what's keeping you busy these days?
Well, my little girl, she's 5, and we're spending a month in Montana, so we're having an incredible time out here. Besides that, just her first year of school just finished, which was preschool, and then I've finished a film that we had been working on for a long time, so quite a few different things.
Yeah, I introduced you as a man of many hats, and can we add school principal to that?
I don't think so. I may have been a big part in making sure the school happened, and it may be in my yard, but I pretty much consider myself just a father like all the other kids' parents.
Well, in the clip we saw, you had just finished building the school, or it was still in process, but now it's been open for a year and in
Yes.
progress. So how did things go?
It was really incredible. I noticed in there we didn't have any furniture in the schoolhouse yet. We just had the one building that I think we were probably still finishing, and now they have a greenhouse and gardens and a garden shed and pavilion and playgrounds and all kinds of stuff. And so it's beautiful, but even more than that, it's the beginning of a really beautiful story, I think.
What has it taught you? Any hard lessons?
Yeah, there's been some hard lessons. The first one is it's not as easy as you think. And I guess it's just my nature is to sort of move forward towards something that seems like a wonderful idea and then figure out the details later. So in the first year, a lot of those details showed up. But I think the main things that I've learned is just that when my older girls, I have 2 older daughters. I think it's funny. I have a 32-year-old, a 30-year-old, and a 5-year-old. I tell people from time to time, I had my own grandbaby. I feel like it sometimes. But the biggest thing is that it helped me to rethink the possibilities of education. With my older girls, I never really even considered anything other than what was right in front of us, what was provided. The school that wherever we were living, which was a lot of different places, you just get on the school bus that pulls up in front of the house, and that's the only option I really thought about most of the time. And I've really come to realize there are a lot of options, and ours is just one of them.
So they went to public schools predominantly.
Most of the time, yeah.
What was the big factor that made you decide I want to do things different? And you grew up in public schools as well.
I did, and I think I turned out like you. I turned out kind of normal. I didn't seem like a big deal. Well, number one, I think the world has
To be determined. Right.
changed so much. It's just a crazy world out there, it feels like. I mean, maybe everybody said that 10 years ago or 20 or 30 years ago, but it feels like it's changed a lot. And also, my views on school have changed a lot. As I've gotten older, I realized that the things that were important to me back then, or that I thought were supposed to be important, which was just really concentrated on a great education so the kids could have a good life and be competitive, that's really not on the forefront of my thinking now. I really care more about what kind of child we're raising, and what kind of children the school, how they're molding the children's characters. So that's a whole new thing, and we get to be a little bit of part of that. So,
yeah, because you added another R.
Yes.
Yeah, there's only supposed to be 3 or 4, and
I'm not even sure there were 3. Forever it's reading, writing, which is actually a W, and arithmetic, which is an A, and then we added another R, which is all things rural. So 4 R's at our place.
And what does the rural look like?
Well, it looks like a school. My wife, I think you mentioned this in your opening, she would have homeschooled our little girl if she was here. And so the next best option is to build a school at home. And so that's the first thing that it looks like, is a schoolhouse on a farm property. But it also, there's animals. We have chickens. The kids have chickens. They get to spend time with the horses. We have cows. There's going to be a lot more things coming along the way too. But they also have a big garden, and they have people coming from the community. Besides having their regular teachers, we get the opportunity. We kind of look at it sometimes as it's like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, except in real life, where people come by almost on a daily basis, and it'll be a farmer. And that farmer really has something to teach. It's not somebody dressed up as a farmer. It's a real life person, or it's a park ranger, or it's a chef who comes and teaches the kids how to cook, or a flower gardener, or whatever it happens to be. And so those are the kind of things it looks like. On the rural side, it's really learning some of the things that I think, especially out here in Montana. I bought a book yesterday at the bookstore that was all about one-room schoolhouses in the state of Montana, and I've been looking through it. And so there's probably a number of people either here tonight or that are watching online who grew up and went to school in them, and there's quite a few things different that they got to experience than probably what kids are experiencing today.
So it sounds like you were looking back to the past to try and find some values or things that you wanted to incorporate again. What about modern things, technology? Are you incorporating that as well, or it's a blend of both worlds?
I think so. It's just, as I mentioned, it was a preschool this first year, and now in September, Indiana starts kindergarten, and so it'll be K through 4th, so it'll be multi-age. So one thing from the past that doesn't happen in most schools, but will happen in ours, is that there can be a number of children of all different ages learning, more like actual families do. And so that's one of the things from the past that we get to do, and prayers and Pledge of Allegiance and all sorts of things like that. But in the future, some of the things we're incorporating is we do have a large screen TV that sort of comes out of a cabinet. And so we could have a teacher in Utah who is able to teach the children sign language, and maybe she's not here, but she could teach them and see them from Utah, and they could learn something, or someone in South Africa or in Pittsburgh. And so that's one way of bringing technology in selectively to the children, and also their learning opportunities skyrocket that way. And then probably the next one that we're excited about doing this year is that because, like you, we are filmmakers and storytellers, So we have a team that are going to start filming some of the lessons that the kids are learning, whether it's a cooking lesson or growing, or some older person from our community are teaching the kids how to crochet. We'll turn those into video lessons that we're capturing. So it's a wonderful thing to capture the kids at this time, but also to share online. It's actually a lot we'll only have 15 kids in our school, but when you think that maybe we could be sharing that with hundreds of thousands of other children around the country and world who could watch it, it starts to have a much larger footprint than just those few little acres that it's on.
Yeah, so that would be a huge way to impact a global community, really. But
yes.
What have you seen from a local community impact?
I think maybe the main things that we've seen is just that we could bring the community into the school. For some reason, schools have become a place where only professionals teach children. Children never really see much of anyone other than professional school teachers. And in our community, we sort of think that everyone is a teacher and everyone has value to give and share with the children. And so we want to bring people from the community, and I know the people in our community are really enjoying that.
Well, probably most importantly, what does Indiana think of the school?
I don't know. You have to ask her.
Oh.
Hi,
Indiana.
Indiana, you want to come up here and see Papa? Come on. We'll ask her. I know that she has loved it. Come on up those steps right there. Over there. Well, if you notice, she's dressed a little bit like her Papa today. That's because her Papa dressed her.
Yeah, I was wondering who her stylist was.
Hi there. Come on up here. Okay. Let's see. Sit down right
Indy, I got a question for you.
He wants to ask you a question. Can you say hi to Gabe?
Okay.
Hi. Do you like school?
Yeah.
You do? Who's your friends at school?
Please.
Julie's. Who else? What's some other kids?
Jael.
Jael. Some more kids? Name some more.
Benjamin.
Yes, more.
And
Kayla. What's your teacher's name?
Miss Becca.
Miss Becca. Very good.
Awesome. What have you been learning? About animals?
Animals.
What
You've
else?
been learning your letters? Yeah. Did you learn how to grow some things in the garden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I'm proud of you.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Rory, for being here.
Yes,
in
sir.
Indiana.
Thank you for letting us be part of your show.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Everybody, Rory Feek. And Indiana. All right. You can keep up with Rory on his blog and website, roryfeek.com, and check out any upcoming performances too. Let's give it up once again for Rory. And now, let's welcome a band who has captured the heart of Americana and the soul of this land. Ladies and gentlemen, the Last Revel.
mine.
All right.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for joining us. We are the Last Revel. We're from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm excited to be here. This is easily the most beautiful place on earth. We've seen a lot of it, so.
We've been coming to this valley for a number of years, both as friends and as a band, and it's just absolutely one of our favorite places to be.
This is a tune of ours called Iron and Ore. It's about the iron and taconite mines in northern Minnesota.
Walk through the street, you're dressed to your knees. Cold water melt from the snow. Wake in the night, silence like freedom, and through no one. Leaves on the trees, they were cursing me. How could she love you anymore? Selflessly giving, viciously driven, hammered, ripped through the floor. Ripped through the floor like iron and ore. This isn't a war, it's already won. North country mines, they take what was given, clear from the natural land. Hidden agendas, they made that decision, not that North country man. Later she said it was written in pen, between the lines there was more. Lyrically gifted but cleverly twisted, hammered, ripped through the floor. Ripped through the floor like iron and ore. This isn't a war, it's already won. Ripped through the floor like iron and ore. This isn't a war, it's already won. Ripped through the floor like iron and ore. This isn't a war, it's you letting go. Ripped through the floor like iron and ore.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Well, this next tune of ours is about being broke and not paying your rent. It's funny, it's an old tune of ours that Vinny and I wrote when we were going to college in Minnesota. And it's funny how some things just don't change.
Some things do. We're not going to college anymore.
That's true. This is a great time to mention that we have merchandise for sale over there on the table.
Great merchandise.
Long way from home.
We flew with it here, and we'd really like to not fly with it back. Anyways, this one's called Garage Sale. Here we go.
Government's gonna be my friend soon as I get paid. Money in my pocket, money spent as soon as I get paid. Poverty smile at me as soon as I get paid. Money in the bank, money for them as soon as I get paid. The garage sale, the shakes in the mail, and I'm just chasing my own tail. The garage sale, the shakes in the mail. I've wasted all my time as soon as I get paid, and I'ma get caught up on sleep as soon as I get paid. I'm buying things I don't need as soon as I get paid. Smoke that good shit, you know it, as soon as I get paid. The garage sale, the shakes in the mail, but I'm just chasing my own tail. The garage sale, the shakes in the mail. Everything's gonna be just fine as soon as I get paid. Take your English, fix up right just as soon as I get paid. Buy a bed all day, all night as soon as I get paid. Smile for me and wait to see just when I get paid. You ride sale, the checks in the mail, but I'm just chasing my own tail. You ride sale, the checks in the mail.
Let's hear it for Vinny Donatelli on the fiddle over there.
If you can't tell, we got to town and this bunch of Minnesotans went to the hat store this morning. That was Ryan's joke, but he wasn't saying it, so I figured.
I didn't find a hat. A little disappointed.
He looks a little sad over there. I know why you guys wear them now, though. These lights are pretty bright, and then I can just go like this. Covers up the sweat on the brow, and I can see a little clearer, you know? In the morning, something woke me with a pale new daylight, hazy from the rain that came and washed away my eyes. Wasn't slow and steady, wasn't all at once. Maybe it was coming down before I could bring it up. Don't you often wonder what it was? Don't you often wonder what it was? I've never been so tired after such a vivid dream. The fate of all that is to come is laid out before me. The secrets in
Thank you.
Let's hear it for Rachel Hansen singing that lead vocal there. And that great hat. That last tune was a song off of our latest album that we just released back in May. That album's called Fool's Spring.
We were lucky enough to have the chance to go down to Nashville and record a couple of songs down at Compass Records, which is it used to be called Hillbilly Central way back in the day. It's a place, a huge place in country music history, and it was a lot of fun to be there for a couple of days with Allison Brown. She's a stellar banjo player, legend, in fact, and that was one of the songs that we got to record with her. It was a lot of fun. This next song we're going to play is came out of a tour.
A rough tour.
A long, rough tour.
Some days a chase a beating, I don't mind some aching bones. Others might stray to misery, I don't mind a bloody nose. Sometimes it's hard to justify being strung out for so long. I even begin to understand why some have it so wrong. Perhaps I'm building a fence for something more than I know. Feel the weight in the air and it feels like brick and stone. But I got everything I need and all the supplies too. I'ma make this what I want. I don't care just what I do as I stretch and I pine. As I stretch alone and I pine. California, please be kind. California, please be kind. California, please be kind. California, or maybe things were different in another life of mine. Never had to mess with dirt, no, everything was fine. Or maybe things were way worse, I just don't remember now. Now I might not make it to 25, might never figure it out as I stretch and I pine. As I stretch alone and I pine. California, please be kind. California, please be kind. California, please be kind. California,
Thank you so much, everybody.
So we're all pretty big fans of Townes Van Zandt. And every once in a while, yes, seeing some claps. We do mostly original music, but some of our sets, we include some of our favorite songs. And this particular evening, we're going to start our first set with a Townes Van Zandt song and end our first set with a Townes Van Zandt song.
I've always heard musicians say that no set of music is complete without a Townes Van Zandt cover. So that's why we stack it with like at least 2, just to make sure we're doing it right.
Make sure we're real musicians.
You guys ready?
Loretta, she's my ballroom gal, wears those 7s on her sleeve, dances like a diamond shines, and tells me lies I love to believe. Her age is always 22, laughing eyes, a hazel hue, spends my money like waterfalls, and loves me like I want her to, loves me like I want her to. Your guitar on, take another shot of booze, play blue and wailing song. Guitar sings the melody, guitar sings the Loretta's fine. Long and lusty, blonde afraid, I can never anytime, yes I can never anytime. Smile, I'm coming home, I'm coming home. Loretta, she's my ballroom gal, wears those 7s on her sleeve, dances like shines and tells me lies I love to believe. Age is always 22, laughing eyes, a hazel hue, spends my money like waterfalls, and loves me like I want her to, loves me like I want her to. Hey!
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
The Last Revel. Free giveaway time. In honor of our next guest, we have some grade A, 100% pure organic cover scent. And with this amazing blend of locally sourced, sustainably obtained aromatics, it's guaranteed you won't scare the deer away. Check it out for myself here. Musky, a little musky. Okay, actually, you know what? That's probably not a good idea. So you might attract a deer, but you'll probably repel most of your friends. So how about a t-shirt? A brand new Reconnecting Roots t-shirt. Let's see here. Who looks deserving? I heard a good whoo from you right there. Would you like to have a free t-shirt? Come on up. What's your name?
Madeline.
Madeline, from where?
Washington State.
Wow. All right. Well, let's sweeten the deal first. JK. Just a t-shirt. 100% deer urine free. That's just a t-shirt. Perfect. Yeah, thank you. All right, well, no matter how far we've come with technology and our society, it's still the same old problem that our ancestors faced. What are we going to eat today? You can buy food, you can grow it yourself, or you can go out into the wild and hunt it. But it's tricky, because if we do too much hunting, then we won't have as much to eat in the future. So, how do we balance it all? Well, thankfully, our next guest is an expert on that. Let's take a look at this video.
And what's your turkey hunting like in Montana?
I mean, I didn't get to start turkey hunting until college. The turkeys weren't even in Montana. And that's a wild thing to think about turkey-wise is we almost exterminated them for food. Then when we started to wisen up and realize that this isn't an unlimited resource, we started putting turkeys back. And now there's more turkeys in the U.S. than there ever have been. And they're in places that they never have been. It's pretty wild to think about.
All right, well, you may know him from the show MeatEater, of which he serves as the director of conservation. He's passionate about wildlife, nature, and how we can enjoy them while preserving them for future generations to come. Everybody, please welcome Ryan Callaghan.
Thank you, Gabe.
Oh, you're quite welcome. So Ryan, tell us, what does the Director of Conservation do?
Well, I coordinate with conservation groups all across the country, sometimes internationally. Listen to different issues going across a lot of different landscapes, watersheds, mountaintops, parks, wherever it may be. Just talk about, how we can help influence things for the better.
Sounds good. For the better.
For the better.
So you and I, when we first met, it was 5 a.m., still dark outside, met in a gas station parking lot, had guns in the back, drove to an undisclosed location. Is that something you do often?
That is not an unfamiliar scene for me.
Well, it turned out okay, though.
Turned out great.
Yeah, guns weren't loaded, so at that time. What? It's how you hunt, right? So we got there, we get out of the car, shut the door, maybe a little too loud, and I mean immediately just go, 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 like all around us. That was a good sign.
That is a very good sign, yes.
Yeah, so I was hopeful. This was my first time turkey hunting, and I got to go out with an experienced hunter, which was great. So we got lucky, fortunately, and I got a turkey, and then not only that, but we went through the whole process. You showed me how to clean the bird, and we ended up eating it right there and got to experience some delicious turkey heart and as well as some other things. But is that something most hunters do? Will they hunt and then eat it right away?
Well, not necessarily right away. Maybe certain parts. Like for me, heart is something that is a great piece of meat to be enjoyed right away. Tenderloins are a great piece of meat to be enjoyed right away. But the vast, vast, vast majority of hunters in the United States they're in it for the meat. more than anything else. You know, it's an odd thing media-wise that, you know, what you see the most of on a national scale is really like the 1% of the crowd that, you know, they're
just hunting for sport.
Well, yeah, it's the picture, not, you know, the end result for me goes on for the entire year. It's not just something sitting on the wall.
So I've been following you since we've been hunting. I've just been wanting to make sure you're still doing good and hunting and eating strange things, or at least strange to me. What are some of the strangest? Recently, mountain lion's been on the menu, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, it's important to note that, you know, I understand that mountain lion is something that sounds very exotic. Growing up here in Montana, that was something that wasn't abnormal. You know, and like uni, right? Sea urchin, very popular dish for folks that are like on the coast. Growing up in Montana, that was like alien food, right?
So strange is relative.
Strange is relative, yes. Yeah, and you know, when you get to travel and enjoy other cultures, if somebody says, try this, it's good, you don't go, oh no, that's strange. You go, good is good. Let me try some. Let me share in that experience.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I did, because that turkey heart I actually preferred that over the, not the gizzard, the liver, I think it was.
The liver?
Yeah. That wasn't a big, I mean, it was fine, but.
Well, we got to try it again.
Yeah.
That's all that means.
So there is a general decline in the amount of hunters these days. Over the past generations, that number just keeps dropping off. Is that a concern of yours?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And, you know, it's a interesting thing. You know, really the ability to hunt your own food is something that was an absolute foundational bedrock part of America. And it's interesting as you look through the history of America, how hunting and the procurement of food really advanced America from coast to coast. And now we're seeing this licensed hunter decline. And yeah, it is concerning to me, but I also feel like, you know, through folks like yourself and a lot of the things that we do at MeatEater, that, you know, we can highlight a lot of things that don't get highlighted elsewhere and shine a lot of the spotlight on the heart of things, what really makes it an amazing part of America.
Yeah, so do you feel like there could be a tremendous negative impact as the hunters continue to decline?
Yeah, I do. And, you know, it's a big question because, you know, for me, one of the largest things that I've gotten out of hunting is time in the woods. And it's lots of time outside. And it's the connection that I've, you know, developed. It is an absolute core value of mine to make sure that everyone, if they so choose, has the ability to go out and have those exact same experiences because they've been so transformative in my life. And it's made me an absolute passionate advocate for all things outdoors. And it's not just hunting or the ability to hunt. It's clean water, it's clean air, it's keeping snow on the mountain. It's the entire picture, because once you get out there and you really start, you know, you harvest something from the land, that really does become a part of you in ways that can sometimes be very unexpected.
Yeah, because I think most, you know, maybe the average American might think of hunting as unnecessary. You know, in today's world of convenience and abundance, like you go to the grocery store to obtain your food. So is there a necessity for hunting?
It's a huge question. The short version is yes, absolutely, right? For me, it is an absolute necessity. And I see it in the same way that, a surfer sees surfing as a necessity in their life, a passionate surfer, a passionate bird watcher, or a passionate gardener, or if you're a rancher or a farmer, there's a lot of bigger stories out there that you can talk about the impact that you have long term, but the necessity is that connection, really to this world. And, you may think food comes from the grocery store. The unfortunate part is if you do think that, I truly believe that you are not going to be a passionate advocate for a lot of these big, wide open, amazing spaces that are also fueling your body. You may just not be paying attention to them.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So the turkey hunt that you and I went on, which we covered, as you saw in the video for our
You were very lucky, by the way, on the turkey hunt.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know if skill had anything to do with it, but I mean, actually, part of it was the calling, right? Like then picking the right spot, having the blind set up. I mean, all that was a part of the process. But yeah, I do feel very lucky. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, luck is great. I'm not downplaying luck at all. Luck has been a huge part of my life. But yeah, it's experience and it's time in the woods. And we spent a lot of hours just sitting there and listening to the woods come alive and listening to all the other noises, not turkey related or seemingly not turkey related, but they're all telling a story and they're describing what is happening in the woods that morning. And the more time you spend out there, the more you can decipher those noises or lack of noises sometimes to figure out what that story is. And it's a pretty amazing thing to be a part of.
And I did feel pretty lucky that I ended up getting a turkey, but had we not, and really my expectations were low, I did not expect to walk away. That would have been enough. Just like, as you mentioned, just being able to sit for a minute and experience a particular side of a hill as it awakens and everything that's involved in that. That was amazing. It was a wonderful experience for me. And a huge part of it, too, was as I get accustomed to convenience and abundance and all these other things, I just feel like I get so far removed from where my food actually comes from, what is my food source. And so for me, it was important to go through that whole process. And if we were to get a turkey, to be able to then process it and eat it and all those types of things so that it just could remind me again a little bit, get grounded once again to say, this is a process, Whether you're growing your own food in a garden, raising animals, hunting those things, the food that appears in a grocery store doesn't magically appear. So it was a great reminder for me and something that I hope to be able to continue and pass on. And so
that's what I love to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the goal, right? It's like I often say I don't need people to do what I do, but I really want them to understand why I go out and do what I do. And, there's a lot of folks, just up or down the valley or over the hill over in Bozeman that are paying for a $60 steak, and they see a value in that. But it's a lot different value than a steak that took you 60 hours or 60 days to procure.
So how have you seen individuals become empowered through this process of hunting or learning to hunt?
I mean, the biggest thing is you feel an undeniable connection to the land and wildlife. And there is a rhythm to going out to the grocery store, your local grocery store, and procuring your food at the grocery store. And if you really let yourself relax and you blindfolded yourself, you could do it blindfolded because there's all these systems in place. And when you go out, you're in the world of unknowns. And you may, after many, many years, have a pretty good system, but it's a world of variables that you cannot control. And when you allow yourself to go out into those variables and really have no control, it's a much, much different experience, and it's incredibly rewarding. And it's a bizarre thing to catch your mouth watering when you look at an animal. But eventually it does happen, right? I mean, it's in there. You just got to get in a spot where you can feel it.
I'm going to work on that. That sounds pretty great. I mean, I think I like that. So, have you ever been hunted? I mean, have you ever been out there and had some close calls, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's close calls, sure. I mean, the more time you spend out there, you know, this grizzly country, and grew up in grizzly country, and have come crossways with some protected mothers out there.
It's still wild America. Actually, we almost ran into something you said was one of the most scary situations that you had been in. Like, you would choose the grizzly, and so after we had, I got a turkey, and we were walking back, a large skunk was like heading right toward us, and you're like, and you literally froze. I'm like, what? And you're like, I'm getting out of here. Like, I'd rather have a grizzly right now than this, because it wasn't going to stop either. It just was coming straight toward us. So.
Yeah, I think I can read the body language of a grizzly a little bit better than the skunk. It's the stripes, I think. Yeah. Yes, it is. Again, a lot of variables out there, you know.
Wild America.
Absolutely. Yeah. Still is.
So what else you got going on? You've been doing some fishing lately, and
Yep, been spending a lot of time on the water. Just moved back to the state to work full time with MeatEater, and as a consequence, I left my giant remodel project behind and started fishing again. So I'm fishing a lot more, and it's been a great, super healthy spring in Montana. We're getting lots of rain, and you know, growing up, just for the record, green in July, especially 10 days into July, just wasn't a thing. So this is pretty special. I hope everybody's enjoying it.
That'll get an applause.
Must have some farmers out there.
I guess so. Well, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Ryan Callaghan, everybody. You can check him out on MeatEater.com. Check out his podcast, Cal's Week in Review. Cool little podcast. And you can catch the show MeatEater on Netflix. All right. It's time again for music. So let's see if the Last Revel hung around. And let's bring him back out here. The Last Revel. Keep it up, guys.
Man, I grew up hunting in Wisconsin, but I can't imagine hunting with grizzlies just lurking around every corner. I feel like you can be kind of dumb. I mean, not dumb. You can't be dumb in Wisconsin hunting, but you can kind of just like gawk at the trees and enjoy your time out there. I feel like if I was hunting out here, I'd be like constantly in fear. You guys are amazing for doing it. Yeah, that was beautiful. She was born in the early morning in the backseat of that Oldsmobile. Mother was a stunner, father forgot about her. It's probably for the better. She seldom pulls punches. Instead, she throws most of them. She steal your keys and drive you home and leave you sleeping all alone. I wish she would love me like
she could. I wish she would love me like I know she could. She's been running since she stole that motorcycle from her weird uncle Steve. She keeps a ragged red rag in the back seat of her denim jeans. She got stains on her hands, undeniably engine trouble. But what's the fun in putting trust in anything reliable? I wish she would love me like I know she could. I wish she would love me like I know she could. I wish she would love me like I know she could. She was born in the early morning, the backseat of that Oldsmobile. Oh, mother was a stunner and her father forgot about it. It's probably for the better now. I wish she would love me like I know she could. I wish she would love me like I know she could. I wish she would love me like I know she could.
you guys.
That's Vincenzo Eduardo Donatelli on the fiddle. Gonna take it down a step here. What was your winter like here in Montana? Cold?
Still going.
Still kind of going. Ryan spends kind of half his time here in the Bozeman area. Well, I guess we're not quite in the well, it's Montana distance, right? We're kind of in the Bozeman area. And I remember him coming home like a month ago and being like, yeah, well, it snowed an inch or two. Anyway, it's been a long one in Minnesota too, and it feels like spring/summer just kind of got here. And if you've ever been through a long, hard winter and felt those deep winter blues, this song might resonate with you. Song kind of about somebody that you love not quite being themselves and not really knowing what you can do for them, but knowing that you're just going to be there for them. It's called Roses. It's been a hard year for the roses, they're withered and dark. It should be September, but winter has stolen your heart. The shiver that numbs you came early this year, stripped all the love down to cold naked fear. I'm bitter and empty and begging you, say we'll be fine. If it wasn't you, I'd walk away yesterday and start it all over. If it wasn't you, I'd be gone with the sun sinking over my shoulder. If it wasn't you. Spring never did us a favor that we couldn't waste. Maybe it's not about saving, but laying to rest. It's deep in the soil and old in our names, buried with heartache and married to gray. This too will die, babe, but we'll live forever in love. If it wasn't you, I'd walk away yesterday and start it all over. If it wasn't you, I'd be gone with the sun sinking over my shoulder. If it wasn't you.
if it wasn't you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So songwriting is kind of a funny thing. Sometimes it can be this incredibly like cathartic, almost religious experience, and really pull a lot of emotions out of you. And sometimes it comes out of the most silliest moments that you're not trying to be serious at all, and it's kind of like a funny little joke kind of snowballs into a song really easily. And this next tune of ours is a new one off the new album, and it kind of started in that way. And maybe Vinny can take the story from there.
Well,
He might not want to tell you.
if I told you, it would maybe, dispel some of the magic. But
They seem eager.
since you're so eager, sometimes it's really fun when you're driving on a long road trip and you see a sign, and you read that sign, and you try to put it to a melody, and you just yell that at the other people in the car until something comes of that. And I guess that's kind of where this song came from. It's called Cheyenne.
When we get to the chorus, you might know what we're talking about.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Another midnight diner on that lonely west to east. Scorched earth, peace of mind, I'd give anything for sleep. What was it that I left? Was it for the best? Cheyenne, Cheyenne, Cheyenne. Just human nature. You run far as you can. Never mind your consequence. It's raindrops in the sand. I left in a jealous haze. I don't think we're free to say Cheyenne, Cheyenne, Cheyenne. Whispers all around you, moon and stars have found you. I'm tracing her across the plains. I'm tracing her across the plains. Cheyenne,
All right, thank you guys.
Did you get the part that he might have been yelling going through Wyoming? It wasn't like just one trip. It was like for 3 years.
Sometimes it takes a while to write a song.
Yeah, we almost had to write it just so he'd stop yelling it at us.
You try to distract him and be like, count all the letters on the signs, Vinny. You guys, if you got kids, you kind of know what it's like. I'm just kidding. That was pretty low. I'm going to pay for that.
Cutting deep here tonight.
All right, here's another new song off the album. This one's called Temperance Landing.
This life it can be nothing but empty. Oh, lover, can I be saved? Born in the same year, a drop in the same tear, and we'll fall just the same. Distract me. Some things cannot change if the forest is falling. Won't you help me count the rings? My heart grew hardened, knotted and carved up, as I waited for your hand. The seasons found us, unfurled around us, every day a grain of sand. In silence standing at Temperance Landing, I will see you again. Love, please distract me. Some things cannot change if the forest is falling. Won't you help me count the rings? Love, please distract me. Some things cannot change if the forest is falling. Won't you help me count the rings?
I think we got time for one more song, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. This is such a great experience. I got to thank Reconnecting Roots and everybody at the Music Ranch for putting on this amazing event and having us out here on such a beautiful day. It's one of those days where I pinch myself and I feel so lucky that I get to do this for a living.
Absolutely.
And we couldn't do it without you all supporting events like this, so thank you guys very much. Let's have some fun.
Thank you,
guys. Thank you all.
The Last Revel. From myself and all of us here at Reconnecting Roots, thank you so much for being here tonight. Give it up one last time for the Last Revel. A huge thank you to Mandy McCauley and Firekid. Thank you to Rory Feek. Big thanks to Ryan Callaghan. And for those of you enjoying the show online right now, we'd like to thank Country Road TV for making this live stream possible. Check out Country Road TV, where you can find all the good things you'd expect as you travel down a country road. And of course, thank you to Music Ranch, Montana, for having us here in beautiful Paradise Valley. A very special thank you to Frank and Karen Smith. Reconnecting Roots wouldn't be possible without you, so thank you. Thank you, Frank. All right. Well, don't forget to check your local PBS listings for air times of Reconnecting Roots. You can find those listings through our website, reconnectingroots.tv. Check out our blog, our podcast, sign up for our newsletter, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all the things, Reconnecting Roots TV. And let's keep those conversations going. There are many exciting stories to share that help us understand and better appreciate where we fit in the fabric of America. We've poured our hearts into the show, and we hope you love it as much as we do. Until we reconnect again, thank you and good night.
You guys mind if we keep playing? Some bonus songs? Work through the daytime and I work through the night. I've been working misty for most of my life. Hand me down that shovel, my feet in the snow. Nose to the grindstone is all I've ever known. So hell-bent for homestead, I die on the way. Give up on all that you know. Dream up a life, simple's fine. Get there on your own. My landlord is sick with greed to the core. But he doesn't know I've bolted the door. And I'll turn on that faucet and I'll climb to the roof. And I'll wait for that flood, it's coming up soon. So look out for me as you tear down the road. This burden we carry is heavy as stone. So lift up the spirits of fathers and sons. Sooner or later, we're all on the run. So hell-bent for homestead or die on the way. Give up on all that you know. Dream of a life, simple's fine. Get there on your own. Hell-bent for homestead or die on the way. Give up on all that you know. Dream of a life, simple's fine. Get there on your own. Get there on your own. Get there on your own.
This land is your land.
When you think of America, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
This land is my land.
Do you think of the land? Do you think of the people? Do you think of this country's history? Or what's happening now? Do you ever stop to think if we've lost something over the years?
The more time people are spending online, the more depressed and dysregulated they're becoming.
Or has it been with us the whole time?
We're finding somewhat of a niche that people are yearning for, I would say, to come back to.
We're taking a trip through the history of progress and first principles to the soundtrack of the American journey. With all the opportunities to connect to the modern world, We're seeing a generation disconnect from the real world.
Do you think this type of addiction to technology is unique?
The biggest thing that I think is different is just how normalized it is. People don't recognize that the behavior they're doing is bad for them because everybody does it this way.
A passing generation hurries to give timeless wisdom to the new.
They ride whenever we ride. We're hoping that these kids will take our job.
Beautiful for spacious skies and the waves of green. Purple mountains, majesties on the blue plains. We're home.
Join me, Gabe McCauley, as we explore the values of yesterday and the promise of tomorrow, connecting history to our story. This is Reconnecting Roots.